Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about passive pronominal verbs in French, which are also referred to as passive French reflexive verbs, and in French that is referred to as les verbes pronominaux de sens passif. And before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to please subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to leave a like if you like this video. Now in English, we use the passive voice a lot. And while the passive voice does exist in French and it does have its uses and can be important, the French definitely use the passive voice much less than we do in English. But there is a second way to imply passive action, and that is with les verbes pronominaux de sens passif, passive reflexive French verbs. So if we take an example of the passive voice in French, for example, l'arabe est écrit de droite à gauche. Arabic is written from right to left. While it is grammatically correct, the French would typically say it in a different way using these passive French reflexive verbs. So with this example, you could say l'arabe s'écrit de droite à gauche. Arabic is written from right to left. Now there are typically three characteristics of these passive pronominal verbs. The first characteristic being that it is accompanied with the third person singular or plural pronoun se, se. Now the second characteristic is that it normally expresses a general or ordinary action and that it omits an agent or a doer, if you will. So an agent is the subject doing the action, and an example would be on parle français en France, meaning we speak French in France, and on is the agent because on is the one doing the action. Now if we would say, using the passive French reflexive verb, we could say le français se parle en France. So here we have French as the subject, but French isn't actually doing the action. It could literally be translated to French is spoken in France. So in that case, we see that there is no agent in that classic example. And the third characteristic, obviously, is that it implies a passive nature. Now to help you dive into this very important grammar lesson, which after learning today, if you're not already familiar with, you will see it everywhere because it really is very frequent in French. And if you can incorporate this into your spoken French, it's really going to Frenchify your French and really make you sound more like a native speaker. Now I've prepared over 30 examples, some of which I will translate in the video, but to save time, some of them I will not translate directly. I will leave a translation in the video in the text below. I tried to choose 30 examples that are most frequent or some of the most frequent verbs, but keep in mind that there are a lot of verbs that can be used as a passive pronominal verb. So that said, here are my examples. Se faire, ça ne se fait pas. This is used a lot in France to say that that is not correct behavior. Normally when you're looking down at an action that somebody has done, you would say, ouh, ça se fait pas, meaning that shouldn't be done, or that's not proper. Another example for se faire, which is a very common passive pronominal verb, comment ça se fait que tu connaisses Jean? How is it that you know Jean? So se faire is a very good example. Ça se fait de ne pas traduire mot pour mot tes phrases. It's okay to not translate word for word your sentences. Se dire, cela ne se dit plus. Si, ça peut se dire encore. So meaning, you don't really say that anymore. Yes, that can be said still. So ça se dit means literally that can be said or that is said. Se voir. La tour Eiffel se voit de loin. On peut voir le tour Eiffel de loin. The tour Eiffel can be seen from afar. S'écrire. Le mot s'écrit exactement comme il se dit. The word is written exactly as it is said. Se lire. Le livre se lit facilement. The book is an easy read. Se manger. Le poisson se mange souvent avec du vin blanc. Fish is often eaten or accompanied by white wine. Se boire. Ce vin se boit très bien. This is a really good wine, or this wine is very nice to drink. Se discuter. Les idées se discutent, meaning ideas are generally discussed. Se passer. Cela se passe de commentaires, meaning that goes without saying, or that speaks for itself. Another common expression that you hear is comment ça se passe? How is it going, or how are things going? Comment ça se passe? Se situer. L'Arc de Triomphe se situe dans le 8e arrondissement de Paris. The Arc de Triomphe is located in the 8th arrondissement. Se comprendre. Ça se comprend. C'est compréhensible. That's understandable, or I can understand that. Se mériter. La confiance se mérite. Trust is earned. Se trouver. Où se trouve le métro? Where can the metro be found? Se travailler. Parler un bon français, ça se travaille. Speaking good French takes work. S'appeler. Les habitants de Marseille s'appellent les Marseillais. The people of Marseille are called les Marseillais. S'expliquer. Tout s'explique. That explains things. Se vendre. Les maisons se vendent mieux en été. Houses sell better in the summertime. S'apprendre. Être un bon orateur, ça s'apprend. Being a good public speaker is something that is learned. Se porter. Les cravates se portent pour les grandes occasions. Ties are worn on important occasions. Se sentir. Ça se sent que c'est fait avec des produits frais. That can be translated in two different ways. Se sentir can be to smell, but it also can be to taste when you're literally tasting the food. So it depends on the context, but it could be it smells like it was made from fresh products, or you can smell that it was made from fresh products, or you can taste it as made with fresh products. So it depends on the context. And that's also very good to note for se sentir. But just a side note, when you want to say in French, oh, that tastes good, the French simply say, c'est bon. They won't say, I've heard foreign speakers say, ça goûte bien ou ça goûte bon. No good. C'est bon means that tastes good. So that's simple and very good to know. Se tenir. Ça se tient. C'est plausible. That adds up. Se jeter. Les déchets non recyclables se jettent à la poubelle. Non-recyclable items are thrown in the trash can. Se prononcer. Ça se prononce comme ça s'écrit. It is pronounced as it is written. Se fêter. Ça se fête. That's a cause for celebration. S'acheter. Les médicaments s'achètent dans les pharmacies. Medicine is purchased in pharmacies. S'apercevoir. Ça s'aperçoit à peine. That's barely noticeable. S'entendre. La musique s'entend de la rue. The music can be heard from the streets. Or the music is heard from the street. Se recycler. Le carton se recycle. Se parler. Le français se parle en France, entre autres. S'utiliser. Un passeport s'utilise pour voyager. A passport is used to travel or when traveling. And the last example, se compliquer. C'est là où ça se complique. And that's where things get complicated. There you go, guys. Those were over 30 examples of how you can use French reflexive verbs in the passive sense, les verbes pronominaux de sens passif, to imply passive action without using passive voice. I'll make a lesson on passive voice in a future video, but know that this type of passive implication is actually used more than passive voice in French, which is different because this really doesn't exist in English. And in English, we love to use passive voice and we use it much more than it's used in French. So this is a very important lesson to learn, and it's really going to help your French if you're not already familiar with it. And as I said in the beginning, now that you have learned this, you're going to see it everywhere because it really is very prevalent in the French language. There you go, guys. Please be sure to subscribe and leave a like if you haven't already. And I'll be making more videos in the coming weeks to help improve your French. So stick around for the next ones, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, guys.